Folks, this is a freaking phenomenal movie. This movie is so amazingly directed, well acted, technically great, with a great soundtrack that it won so many Oscars when Apollo 13 was released in 1995. This is the collector's edition. It has been less than a year since man first walked on the moon, but as far as the American public is concerned, Apollo 13 was just another routine space flight. Till the words pierce the immense void of Houston, we have a problem. Ron Howard directs Academy Award winner Tom Hanks, Kevin Bacon, Bill Paxton, Gary Sinise, and Ed Harris in a riveting suspense thriller from Imagine Entertainment. Stranded 205,000 miles from Earth in a crippled spacecraft, astronauts Jim Lovell, Hanks, Fred Hayes, Paxton, and Jack Swigert, Bacon, fight a desperate battle to survive. Meanwhile, at Mission Control, astronaut Ken Mattingly, Sinise, flight director Gene Kranz, Harris, and a heroic ground crew race against time and the odds to bring them home. It's a breathtaking adventure that tells a story of courage, faith, and ingenuity. It's all the more remarkable because it is true. I freaking loved this movie. This is a no BS, no beginners trying to do anything to get them right. These are men with PhDs who are attempting to have these three astronauts return to Earth, and they just have to defy the odds. It's like, hey, how much oxygen do they have inside this LEM or whatever it's called? It's like, okay, they have enough to get us to last for like roughly 14 hours. Like, no, what was that, 45 hours? Like, no, that's enough. That's only going to get them to here when they need to return here to the planet. So what exactly can we do? It's the greatest minds of all time assembling to vanquish this problem, which is freaking just great. And I'm surprised I did not see this sooner. So, to the person who suggested it, the General, thank you very much. Review over. I'm just kidding. Let's specifically talk about what I personally enjoyed about this and my thoughts. We know exactly what's laid out. We have some time on the ground. We get to see the family enough. The family is there. The children are there. They offer enough of the support with their own personalities, including a daughter who's saddened that the Beatles broke up. This was 1970, so that was kind of funny. We get the son who it's a little talk about in the beginning. It's like what happened with one of the previous Apollos. Like there was a problem with the door, and some chaos ensued, and ultimately led to the tragic loss of 3 lives. And the wife Marilyn, of course, who provides literal ground control / grounded support. You can't make my puns up. And it's so good. She's of course obviously concerned, but doesn't take any guff when they want to plant a what is that, like a tower or transmitter or something on her lawn, just to keep the hordes of the paparazzi away. So very good. So she's not taking any guff. I don't know who portrays her, whatever. But yeah, of course, it's like then we just get up to the planet and we know what's going to happen, but it's masterfully directed by Ron Howard, who just everything is as realistic as it can get, especially when they're discovering one of the engines is blown. I think number 5 or something like that. They have to try and convert the oxygen. They have to inject some. They don't inject stuff, but mixing some tanks and whatever. It's like there's not exactly mutiny on the crew, but these are 3 experts who are performing simulations. Trying to get it connected this angle, get it to go in, withstanding like 5, 10, 12 times Earth's gravity, and be able to just get it hooked up with the satellite that's up there, and it's just absolutely great. And just to give you an idea of the visual flair of how dangerous it can be, a little screw, because it's not controlled by gravity anymore, it can damage instruments. You know, it can damage a tachometer, a speedometer, things like that. So it's just like just visually represented, and of course the you know, it's like when they're inside the spaceship itself, the Odyssey, if I'm not mistaken. Get a reference to 2001. We just get to see how, like, you know, there's enough room to go around, but at the same time, we feel the desperation and the claustrophobia. I liked how they had a camera, 1970s, that transmitted images all the way back to Earth. So it's just, you know, we get to see the crew with their own personalities. We get to see Hanks, who's in control, and we get to see Bacon. You know, he's kind of the younger one, but you know, he's still more than capable of holding himself, especially when they're trying to get the Earth back into view so they can plan the trajectory needed to return. And Fred Hayes is there. It's like he's the one who's starting to go a little bit, but he still has enough because they're constantly communicating back to Houston. And the problem arises when there is the CO2 levels are increasing, where they're talking at like 200. So if they could that gets inhaled and exhaled, it's like you can just imagine. Of course, there's also Walter Cronkite in archival footage who explains what happens, you know, with like water's needed, and you know how that they need the water to perform their daily functions of maintaining the ship and everything else. So he kind of relays it. This is Walter Cronkite here. I think, what was he, like America's most trusted news anchor at the time? Yeah. So it was great to have archival footage of him, and just yeah. But it's like what makes it so believable is the little details that come in. It's like you can't, it's like, you know, having waste, you know, limiting the food supply. But of course, the ground team are just going all over, just trying to figure out everything. And of course, when we have dang, what was his name? Yeah, Kent. Flight director Gene Kranz, played by Ed Harris, who does a dang good job of controlling him. He's like, damn it, failure is not an option, and you know he's being sympathetic to the crew, but also trying to command everything. So it was great to see him. It was great to see him in a more authoritative, like a role that where he needs to grant. It's like, hey, I can't take breaks if they're not taking breaks. Just to give the idea of, like, we're going to have these men return to Earth. So, and of course they do. And you know, it was just, but they had to get the exact angles right and just get everything to work out. It's just, holy smokes! It was breathtaking. It was cinematic. It was beautiful. I enjoyed every second of it. Of course, when there's a shot of like the moon and the Earth at the same time, it's just done so well. I'm like, everything moved so fast. You could feel the tension and the drama. And at 2 hours and 20 minutes, it does not. It feels perfect. It feels epic. And I'm just like, and you know, I really can't think of like any problems with it. So, I mean, even the older son has a candlelight visual with his classmates, for crying out loud. So, you know, it's like the family's there supporting the role. Freaking great. For the production, there was something known as the Vomit Comet, which the three actors were fine because they were probably used to it, but the cameramen, not so much. They ended up vomiting. So you could just imagine that. When the actual Jim Lovell himself saw it, he was so impressed that he thought, because like, hey, NASA has additional footage that we thought was stashed away, but it just turns out it was actually a good use of CGI. You know, slowly getting CGI into movies at the time, back before all the AI stuff. Yeah. You know, and he's actually in a cameo role as, like, at the very end when he's hugging Hanks as like a captain. He said, hey, I retired as a captain, I remain a captain. Paraphrasing. So, yeah. Freaking great. And just, there's also a little joke about saying how Fred Hayes didn't exactly pay his taxes. And he was like, hey, I was going to pay today, but I'm actually like out of here. And there's a little running joke, like saying, yeah, he's definitely out of the country now. So it's like if you don't pay, they'll jump on you. So that was kind of funny. A little humor sprinkled throughout, which is perfect and makes us a true epic. In fact, it was even registered for the the National Film Congress National Film Preservation 2023, something like that. I forgot the exact name, but you know what I'm talking about. Culturally or historically significant. This is the 30th anniversary of the film, and it is currently screening on IMAX theaters. And Jim Lovell passed away of natural causes at like, what was that, 93 or 97 years old. So kind of a tribute to both of them, to all the men. I'm happy you survived. Go and watch Apollo 13.